We are live. We are live on Original FC back in the cut. And today we do talk about my beloved Manchester United. As you well know, well, for those that do watch football, the Premier League season opened up this weekend. It began this weekend. Last night, Monday Night Football, we were treated to a boring spectacle of Manchester United versus Wolves. Now, Man United won the game 1-0, but it wasn't a great performance at all. It was the same old United. Nothing's changed. You know, you come into a new season with hope, thinking, okay, maybe we're going to see some different football to what we saw last season, right? Some new additions, maybe some shit will change. But that's just blind hope, because for those of us that are actually United fans, for those of us that have watched this club in recent years, we all know it's nothing more than blind faith, because the acquisitions that we made in the summer didn't make sense. And there's still such a lack of quality in this team. You know, when that starting 11 came out, and I'm seeing a midfield of Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro and Mason Mount, you're thinking to yourself, in this Premier League, right, where you've got an abundance of physicality and technical ability all over the pitch, not least in midfield, you look at that midfield three that Manchester United trotted out there last night, that will likely be the starting midfield three for the season, unless there's some more additions to be made. You think to yourself, this midfield's going to get eaten alive. Eaten alive. I'm looking at that midfield thinking they're going to get eaten alive, and guess what happened last night in that game, in that Monday Night Football fixture? The midfield got eaten alive. They got ran through like some hose. G. I can't remember who it was. I believe it was Cunha, and it was another member of that Wolves midfield. They just kept making run after run, just running through the midfield, just slicing through the midfield like a hot knife through butter. Easy work. Now, I'm seeing Wolves players carrying the ball like 60 yards through our midfield on multiple occasions. And I sit back and I think to myself, why won't this be the case in every league game we play this season? Because honestly speaking, Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes, that occupy two of your spots in that midfield, they lack the physicality to get around the pitch. Technically, in tight spaces, they're not that great. You know, Mason Mount, I guess, technically is a little bit in terms of being able to just keep onto the ball. Bruno Fernandes is more of a haywire kind of guy, a rock star kind of footballer in terms of... Sorry, not rock star footballer, rock and roll kind of footballer in terms of, smash and grab. Very good in transition. But the thing is, not every game you're going to play is a transition game. You're not going to be afforded space like that. And Bruno Fernandes' decision-making, I thought he'd improved a little bit on his decision-making last season, but, he's come into this season, first game of the season, he's gone back to his old habits. And I don't want to hark on the midfield too much, but to me, the midfield is the biggest issue, because Casemiro just doesn't have the legs anymore. Casemiro, last season, aged about 5 years. And I honestly believe he's going to need replacing soon, because he just doesn't have the legs anymore. And he's out there having to do a lone job in that midfield, having to track about 2 or 3 midfielders from the opposition. It's worrying. I look at this United team and I say to myself, the quality lacks so far behind the likes of Arsenal, behind the likes of Man City, even the likes of Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea, still got a bit of teething to do. They still got to find their best 11, but the quality that they have in their team, they will be a powerhouse within the next season or two. I look at United, and it's not just the fact that there's a lack of quality still in this team, a glaring lack of quality, right? It's also the fact that, our acquisitions are horrible, year in, year out. Horrible acquisitions. Last season we bought Lisandro Martinez, great purchase. Casemiro was a good purchase for about half a season, right? You go into this season and you spend £60 million on a Mason Mount, who to me is a nothing player. He's a nothing player. There's nothing about him when you watch him that makes you think, right, this guy can win games for us. He's not that kind of player. He's a nice cog in an already well-built system. The problem is there is not a well-built system here at United. There is not a certain style of play that you can watch every game and you say, I know how United are going to get their goals today. You watch Arsenal, you watch City, you know how they're going to score their goals because they score the same goal every time. With United, it's always been smash and grab football. Last night, they should have lost that game 3-1 if it weren't for the fact that Wolves didn't have a striker. If it weren't for the fact that Wolves didn't have a striker, it'd have been 3-4-1 to them yesterday. But as always, United come out with a jammy win. Because United do that. United, I've seen 100,000 games, millions of games, where United have won a game in the exact same way they won that game last night. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of watching a team that has no cohesion. I'm sick and tired of watching a team that doesn't dominate at home, that doesn't dominate the team. Wolves is not a great team. Wolves are one of the lesser teams we'll face in the league this season. And we struggled. Our best player on the pitch last night was our goalkeeper, Onana. Onana kept us in the game. I think Wan-Bissaka was decent. You know, nice assist for the goal. And I think Sancho was probably one of our other better players, and he played for, 20 minutes? He came off the bench. Garnacho had a shocking game. Rashford had a shocking game. Our midfield had a shocking game. Lisandro Martinez didn't have a great first half, but he was injured, so, I'll let him be. And, hopefully he recovers quickly because we're going to need him this season. Top centre-back. Right? Anthony, shocking. Again. £100 million for Anthony, shocking. Can't take on his man. Doesn't have a right foot. Doesn't score, doesn't assist. Can't really pass the ball either. Can't really cross. And you're thinking £100 million for what? For what? For absolutely nothing. And I anticipate I might get some comments saying, oh, it's just the first game of the season. You're overreacting, and maybe I'm overreacting. But you know what? I don't think I am overreacting because I've seen this kind of performance from United time and time again. I don't care if it's the first game of the season. I've seen 1,000 other performances like this from United. The same kind of wins every time. You know what? You take the 3 points, and it's good to have 3 points on the board to open up the season, but this is not sustainable. United are not going to be a serious team this season if they play like that. United are not going to be a serious team if we continue to have the personnel that we have because the quality is not there. Again, I'm going to repeat, City are leap years above us, leap years ahead of us. Arsenal, leap years ahead of us in terms of quality, in terms of the way they play football. United are lacking so far behind in terms of style of play, in terms of the structure of the team, in terms of the cohesion that the players play with, in terms of the talent that we actually have on the pitch. And Ten Hag, I gave you a blah last season. Last season, I had a lot of faith in you. I gave you a blah. I said, you know what, first season, there was some promising things that I saw that, that had me, keeping patience and keeping faith that things are going to turn good. But this season, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to have a little less patience with you, Ten Hag. This season, you're going to be scrutinised a lot more. Because you made some dodgy decisions in terms of player purchases. Your talent ID is spooky. And it's starting to scare me. And what's also starting to scare me is I'm not really seeing too many difference in the way we're playing between when we had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and you. Last night was a game that we've played 1,000 times under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Smash and grab 1-0. We didn't control the game. We won the game, but we didn't control the game. At home against the Wolves, we didn't control the game. It's poor. Ten Hag came with this reputation of playing a brilliant style of football. I'm yet to see it. So this season, I've got question marks surrounding you. And you've got to answer them. You've got to answer them. Because I'm not happy with the talent idea. I'm not happy with some of the player purchases you've made. And I'm certainly not happy with the still glaring lack of talent that we have in this team. And most of all, I'm still not happy with the fact that we don't look like a different team. We don't play like a different team to the one we were previously under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So, 3 points on the board to open up the season. 3 points is 3 points. You'll take it. Glad to get the season off with a win. Start the season off with a win, I should say. But I'm far from happy with the performance, and I'm far from happy with the lack of quality in this team. And most important, and especially, I'm very worried about that midfield three. Very worried. I'm very worried about that midfield three. I'm very worried about the fact we still don't have a striker. Yes, we bought Rasmus, what's his name, Højlund, but he's turning out to be a cripple already. So we're going to be in for a long season, man. We're still far away from challenging for a Premier League. Top four is not certain. Top four is not a certainty, especially the likes of Newcastle and Brighton around. It's not a certainty. But it's going to be an interesting season, so let's see how it plays out, man. Shout out to the Lit House, shout out to the set, shout out to the gang, shout out to my peoples. Much love to you all. Assalamu alaikum to the Akis. Unoriginal FC over and out.